What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and here I'm finally, for the first time in a long time, up here to talk to you guys about Destiny, the local wrestling fed that operates just one city outside of my own. Now, anybody that's been watching my channel for a long period of time knows that I mention them from time to time. I mention them in other videos if it fits the context, if say a Shotzi Blackheart or a Pete Dunne or some other people, Josh Alexander, if we're talking about Impact. I always say, you know, hey, I'm a little bit biased towards X person, you know, Destiny Wrestling, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list, and this is the reason why. Those of you know, I do cover AEW and Impact on this channel. I'm mostly a WWE kid, transitioned over to NXT when that became the thing, and now not so much that it's the weird thing, but Destiny Wrestling was the first fed sort of outside of the, you know, traditional mainstream North American televised wrestling that I got into. And I used to come up here after every show. I used to do a thing where every time before a show when they announced a match, I would come up here and say, hey, you know, they're going to do this match and I'm really excited about it, or they're doing this match, I've never heard of this person, have any of you heard of this person, etc. After COVID ended, they did a show a little while ago, and I never bothered to come up here and talk about it because time got away from me, etc., etc. I should have, because there was a really good cage match between Aiden Prince and Kobe Durst for the Next Generation title, which is their, I guess, Intercontinental title or TNT title, depending on how you want to look at it. That was really good. It was meant to be Josh Alexander from Impact, defending the Destiny World title against Luke Gallows, which didn't happen because he got held up at the border. So what they did instead was they moved the card around, and he ended up facing Speedball Mike Bailey in a I think it was a non-title match. I don't remember now because it's that long ago. The bottom line being that Jordan Grace and Scott D'Amore and a couple of other Impact people were there, and after the match, the big moment was Speedball Mike Bailey getting his Impact contract. Now, I haven't kept up on Impact as much as I should have, but I don't know if Mike Bailey has actually been shown on Impact yet. If you are a fan of Impact, or if you're thinking about getting back into it like I did about a year ago, look out for Mike Bailey, because he's really awesome. I've seen him a couple of times. If you guys have followed me, you'll know that Destiny did a quick show sort of in the midst of COVID, where we thought things were starting to lighten up. They basically brought the ring outside and had a couple of matches outside, so that was a bit different. And that was the first time I saw Mike Bailey, but this was Mike Bailey versus champion Josh Alexander. He had his big signing moment with Scott D'Amore after that match, which was really awesome, and that happened at the last show. It was kind of it was a nice mirror for not too long ago, where Josh Alexander himself got his Impact contract presented to him by Scott D'Amore at Destiny as well, which is all really cool. Scott D'Amore has been there and not been there, and Santino Marella of WWE fame also quite involved, along with a really cool guy that runs the show called George Iceman, and just really good shows. And I might as well come up and talk about it now. A, because it was a really good show. B, because it looks like we are going back into, if not lockdown, definitely some more restrictions. Literally the day after this show happened, we went back to 50% capacity everywhere. Theaters can't serve you food anymore. The QR code thing is going on, and you know, we're going to get the Optimus Prime variant and everybody's going to die, so you might as well enjoy the wrestling. I don't know. I'm supposed to be going to a WWE house show on the 29th, and as of now, it hasn't been canceled, but our French neighbors over in Quebec are locked down tighter than us, and I know that the house shows in Laval have been canceled. I'm keeping an eye on the Coca-Cola Arena to see if that show gets canceled as well. But what I do want to do at the end of this is going to be what I used to do. It's going to be a slideshow. It's all the pictures that I took from the show. It's just my own pictures from the stands. They're not super great. They are a lot of fun though, and there's some video as well, some entrances and some highlights of some matches, etc. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a couple of brief thoughts on a couple of the matches that happened on the show, and then if you're listening to this in an audio platform, there's absolutely no purpose in me just sticking in the audio of the slideshow and the video. So what's going to happen if you're listening to this in a podcast platform, the audio is going to cut, then you're going to get my commentary on what happened, and if you want to see the video portion, you're going to have to go to the YouTube, or please come join me on Rumble, because I'm on Rumble as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, when I'm done talking, it's going to flip over to the slideshow and to the videos for your viewing pleasure. I do have to remember next time I'm there to sit somewhere else, because I'm shooting up against a blank wall, and that's part of the reason some of the pictures don't look that great. I apologize, but please focus on the awesome wrestlers in the ring and not my shitty photography ability. Be back with you in 1 second. Okay, so I've rambled on, and I've told you now about why I'm talking about Destiny, why I like going to Destiny, how I felt about this particular show, how I felt about the show before, but what actually happened on this show? What are you going to see in the slideshow if you follow me onto YouTube or Rumble and you want to stick around for the slideshow, etc.? First of all, we start off with a fatal four-way match, and it is Von Vertigo, who, best way I can describe Von Vertigo, very flamboyant, very flashy, hints of sort of a RJ City meets Grayson Waller meets Breezango type character. I really like him. I think he's really awesome to watch in the ring, and I think he got robbed at the last show against Lionel Knight. You got Del Bruno, who I've never seen before, who's really awesome, who's definitely got a soccer gimmick. You're going to see in the slideshow he's got all the soccer gear and the jersey and whatnot, and he did this amazing, I guess you could say suspended drop kick corner to corner, while one of the other guys had another one of the guys in sort of a upside down hanging position from the turnbuckle. Like, you could tell that there was a counter about to happen off of the turnbuckle, but he just broke it up with this coast to coast drop kick that was awesome. But the real story is the fourth competitor was supposed to be Lionel Knight, guy who goes by the nickname Black Lavender, who fought Von Vertigo at the last show. So there's a little bit of continuity here. Kobe Durst at the last show, like I say, was in that cage match with Aiden Prince, who we're going to talk about later on, who is still the next generation champion at this point. There's a spoiler for you. Lionel Knight comes out on crutches and announced that he is injured. He's not able to compete tonight. Now, I will be honest, because we did see him again at the end of the show. I don't know. I don't have the background knowledge to know whether this was a legitimate injury or whether this was some sort of kayfabe long-term thing. I don't want to make the assumption either way, because obviously if the guy is hurt, I don't want to come up here and say that he's not. But even if it was a storyline type of idea, it's cool for what we got, because he says, you know, I can't fight tonight, but Black Lavender's never going to let you guys down. I found a suitable replacement, you know, that lovely wrestling cliche, and she's also my new bodyguard. And he introduces Alexia Nicole, who I've seen exactly one time at Battle Arts Academy. Best way to describe Alexia Nicole, fast, bubbly, charismatic, spark plug of a wrestler, shall we say. And, I mean, not that it matters, because wrestlers are wrestlers, but it does mean that this four-way now is an intergender match. You know, male, 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 female. Not that that matters, not that that makes it any better or worse, but, as I say, me being mostly a fan of WWE, and WWE who definitely don't offer us any intergender wrestling, it is nice to see, it is different to see it. It's one of the benefits of me getting back into watching Impact. To be fair, AEW doesn't do much intergender wrestling either, so that's not just a WWE thing. Those of you that have been following me for a long time, I've been a big proponent of, as long as everybody's, you know, on the same page, and as long as everybody's cool with it, as long as everybody's comfortable, you should do it. I've suggested for a long time, specifically in WWE, integrate the women's division with the cruiserweight division. I think that's a great. You've got great crossover opportunity there. And I will say, after this, much as I was blown away by Del Bruno, seeing him for the first time, much as I'm a fan of Von Vertigo, and I'm really digging the heel persona of Kobe Durst, who, you know, again, I have to say, coming off of an impressive showing in the cage match with Aiden Prince at the last show, really digging his heel presentation as well. All that being said, this did become the Alexia Nicole show, and she did come out on the high end of this, which is really, really cool. Now, here's where your headcanon can get the better of you. I don't know whether it was from seeing all of these guys at the last show. I don't know whether it was because we just saw Kobe Durst face Aiden Prince. I had it in my head going into this show that this Fatal 4-Way was initially, when Lionel Knight was one of the competitors, that it was going to be a #1 contenders match for the Next Generation Championship. Either Kobe Durst was going to get another shot, or Von Vertigo, Del Bruno, Lionel Knight, somebody like that was going. First of all, let me be clear. Any of these guys, any of these people, I should say, including Alexia Nicole, I would love to see against. Actually, now that I mention it, Alexia Nicole taking on Aiden Prince for the Next Generation Championship would be fucking awesome. But nothing was said about it on the night, so as I say, it could very, very well exist just in my headcanon, just in this little dome that sits on top of my shoulders, currently donning the gimmick hat. Great way to start off the show. A little bit of a surprise, as I say, the Lionel Knight injury, assuming that it is a legitimate injury and not a story, which I don't know. I'm putting it out there. I don't know. All that being said, the surprise inclusion of Alexia Nicole was really, really fun. Von Vertigo was really fun. Del Bruno, me seeing him for the first time was great. Kobe Durst is awesome, and Lionel Knight will be back at some point. So we move on. After all that, after me thinking that this was all for the Next Generation Championship, we get on to the Next Generation Championship, and Aiden Prince is a fucking beast. He had the match 2 shows ago where Kobe Durst attacked him and he got like dropped headfirst off the turnbuckle through a chair or something like that. If I can find that footage, I'll stick it on the end of this video as well, but I don't 100% know where that footage is. Aiden Prince taking on another guy I've never seen before, Matt Angel, and Aiden Prince is over as hell in the Don Kolov arena. He's one of the guys that I am at these shows to see now, and I've made no secret about this for a long time. There's a lot of people that I like at the Destiny shows. There's a lot of, every time they import somebody from somewhere, they've got all their working relationships, whatever those relationships are. Like I say, I don't know, but we've had people from NXT, we've had people from NXT UK, we've had ex-WWE guys, we've had AEW folks, a lot of Impact folks, ROH folks. Destiny is the first time that I saw Marty Scurll in person. I've seen Mustache Mountain and Pete Dunne there. I've seen Austin Aries there. I always go back to the first show that I went to, and I was drawn to it because I got handed a flyer at a WWE house show saying, here, come check out this show. The main event for our championship is Pete Dunne versus John Morrison. I'm like, I'm fucking in. And then, you see him versus, I believe it was Evan Bourne. There's a lot of good import type stuff, so you gotta believe that they've got those conversations happening. But why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? Why? We throw the phone away. We continue the video. But there's three guys there. And Shotzi Blackheart. But then Shotzi Blackheart got picked up by NXT. Josh Alexander, Aiden Prince, Channing Decker are the 3 guys that are the 3 sort of, to me, the Destiny guys that I'm there to see, and everybody else on top of that is just a bonus, which is awesome. Aiden Prince with this mid-card championship, the Destiny Next Generation Championship. I don't even know if I should be calling it a mid-card title, but I don't really know how else to describe it. Taking on Matt Angel. These guys have a hell of a match too. I thought that this was going to be sort of in the bag for Aiden Prince. Like I say, my biases are what they are. Matt Angel is a heck of a wrestler in his own right. Aiden Prince has this weird, like, positive intensity to his wrestling, and I've had a chance to chat with him once or twice too. He's actually a pretty cool dude as well. But the surprise win at the end for Matt Angel, and by the end of the match, I was okay with it. Despite my biases being what they are, I'm like, all right, okay, cool. Because my big hope eventually is that those 3 guys that I just mentioned are eventually going to be in a triple threat for that main title, but. Let's see what COVID is first. Matt Angel gets the win. We have a really cool, respectful, like, handshake presentation of the belt type moment. Aiden Prince sort of has a post-match promo showing a lot of appreciation for the Destiny fans in the Don Kolov arena, and sort of hints towards, hey, we don't really know what's next. And it sort of loomed over the whole show like a cloud, but everybody sort of tackled it in their own way, and In Prince was no exception. Talking mostly positively, but like let's see where we go, type of idea. Now, talked about the three guys that I'm here to see: the champ, the former champ, and Channing Decker. Channing Decker is on this card facing Speedball Mike Bailey, the guy I was putting over to you a moment ago, the guy that just got signed to Impact. The guy is striker as fuck, and Channing Decker is hardcore Channing Decker. So these guys beat the ever-loving shit out of each other, but the way these guys played to the crowd, the way these guys had a really cool, prolonged, like, what is the crowd gonna do? Where's the crowd gonna go? And they did sort of... I don't want to make this direct comparison, but if you remember when Cena and Punk both had the belts, and one would hold up the belt and got a certain reaction, one would hold up the belt and got a certain reaction. Well, they did the same thing, basically with no belts, and then one of them, I think it was Decker, pointed to a kid in the front row and said, "I only care what that kid has to say," and the kid starts chanting Decker. And at this point in the night as well, I don't know whether it was from the entrance smoke or what it was from, but the Don Kolov Arena itself was getting a very, very, smoke-filled old arena type feel to it, and these guys proceeded to beat the living fuck out of each other. And when Speedball, who has a lot of martial arts in his repertoire, goes for a, I will not pretend to know anything about martial arts, but he goes for a certain, martial arts pose. Decker just comes at him with the double birds in a pose of his own. Fucking brilliant. As I say, Speedball's awesome. I want to see more of him. I want to see more of Decker, too, because Decker hasn't been around at a Destiny show in a while. And the shitty thing about it is Decker was supposed to have a show a couple days later with Greektown Wrestling in Toronto, and I believe it's held on the campus of Ryerson University, and because of COVID being what it is, that show got completely canceled. I think he was supposed to take on Eric Young, and that was a show that I was thinking about going to, so that really sucks for him, so I'm glad he was on this card. Decker looked like he was going to get the win as well. Kind of bummed that it wasn't a hardcore match, being that, I saw him and Moose have a hardcore match, and they put each other through doors. They didn't have tables, they just put themselves through doors. And there's something so weird about the look and structure of a door versus a typical wrestling table that it just kind of popped me. And that was the first time I saw Moose as well. So thank you to Destiny. Words work, I promise, for showing me Moose for the first time. So that was awesome. Speedball and Decker looked like they were going to get the win, and Decker at the last minute gets tossed off the ring post by a man all in black with a mask on, and rah. And here's where, again, like the Fatal 4-Way, don't let your headcanon get in the way. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy was supposed to have a match in a couple of days against Eric Young at the Greektown show. So have they worked it into this show, and he's been jumped by Eric Young, and I was waiting for them to pull the hood off and do the big wrestling reveal. And don't let your headcanon get away from you, because it wasn't Eric Young. It wasn't anybody that I know. It was somebody named Tarek. I don't know. Looked him up on social media, and I think his Twitter, Instagram, whatever, is like punch kick Tarek. Don't know. They're going to fight at some point. They shout at each other that they're going to fight at the next show. There's a couple things on this show, on this particular night, that were like... very often you go to a Destiny show, and it's like, well, the next show is this, on this date, and our very first announcement is that we're going to have these two guys fight that you just saw arguing a second ago. Understanding that they can't do that right now because of the COVID restrictions, regulations, and we don't know where all that's going to go. It was very much, whenever there's a show, you and I are going to fight. So I want to see it, basically because I don't know anything about this other guy. I basically want to cheer on my dude to kick the living shit out of him. I hope it is a hardcore match, get some glass in there or something or other. But very, very cool match. Because I don't know the guy that ran in, or I don't know anything about the guy that ran in, I don't want to say that it was a letdown ending, but it was sort of a go get him next time type thing. And I mean, Speedball's awesome, Decker's awesome. I would love to see these guys go round too. I would love for them going 2 or 3 shows ahead. Let Decker get rid of this guy that ran in on the match and go back and say, you know what, now I got that out of the way, how about we resolve that thing from Zero Fear? Did I mention that the name of this show was Zero Fear? I don't think I did. It was Zero Fear. We had intermission. Made a couple jokes with Channing Decker because he was there selling his shirts and whatnot. I said the next, because you know everybody at this point is you know either whispering or screaming "fuck COVID" because we just got wrestling back. Like I say, I'm going to the house show at the end of December, and it's like I haven't seen any. Like the next 2 wrestling shows I was supposed to see were both canceled when COVID first hit. So from a Destiny perspective, from a, you know, watching wrestling on TV perspective, from a WWE house show perspective, on all counts, we just got wrestling back, and potentially we've lost it again. And I said, you know, for your next T-shirt, why don't you just get like a cartoon of a COVID molecule, and you can be choking it out, just like "fuck COVID" at the bottom, or you know, the Destiny Wrestling T-shirt says Canadian Strong Style, and I just want to like take that logo, keep it as it is, but just at the bottom put like "stronger than COVID" or something like that. You got a joke to make it through because the alternative just isn't fun. The next match after the intermission was a match that they taped for Impact, which was kind of cool. It was Chris Sabin versus Cody Deaner. It was, the guys are great. I've never seen Chris Sabin live, so that was a treat. Deaner I've seen once, and he's there and he does the brawling thing that you know, the guys from Violent by Design are known for, but it wasn't anything on their behalf. For myself, wasn't something I could get into as much, because it's like, okay, you're here for your Destiny show, here's your, like, basically this is Destiny's pay-per-view, even though you're just there live, so the pay-per-view thing doesn't mean the same thing, but here's a little bit from another universe type of idea. So you got Deaner in there brawling, you got Chris Sabin out there doing awesome Chris Sabin stuff, but I couldn't help feeling a bit detached. These guys, they went in there, they did their shit. The majority of the fans out there had a really, really strong positive reaction for these guys. Love the interaction that Destiny in general has with Impact. Like I say, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'm just a fan. I'm just the guy sitting there in the stands. But it is cool to see. And as I say, at the last show, the one I didn't bother doing a video for because life got away from me, I got to see Jordan Grace live for the first time. And why did my light just go out? That's not cool. Let's get that back up. There we go. It was, like I say, it was very cool. I've never been to, fucking years and years and years ago, I went to one TNA pay-per-view, and I think it was out in like Peterborough. For people that are not from Canada, that's not going to mean anything, but it's several cities away from me. It's not as simple as me doing a quick run to Toronto. But as far as being at a Impact taping or an Impact weekly show, hasn't happened, other than when they did the throwback show, which I believe there is a slideshow for that show somewhere on this channel. If you're listening in a podcast, if you're listening on Rumble, you might have to go to the actual YouTube channel for that one. The next one was a cool match that they set up at the last show, and it was a confrontation between El Diablo Gabriel Fuerza versus Reverso, and he was basically getting on Reverso's case because Reverso's not Mexican, but he is a luchador, rah. And basically, there was a post-match attack at the last show that led to a hair versus mask match. And these guys are awesome. It was the high-flying lucha, cruiserweight, X Division, whatever you want to call it. It was that match of the night. And a lot of fun. If I explain to you the inside of the Don Kolov Arena, and once again, I'm going to say, wait until you see the photos. Where they set up the ring posts sort of line up with where the support columns of the building are. So you've got one support beam. I don't know why I'm doing hand signs. This isn't going to work at all. You've got one support beam, another support beam, and between those is like the perfect amount of space for the ring. So this support beam is next to the ring post. On the other side, the ring post is next to the support beam as well. At one point, Reverso gets tossed what would typically be just somebody getting tossed headfirst into the ring post, which already is not a good way to spend a Sunday night, but he gets thrown upwards, sideways, into the actual the Don Koloff Arena support beam. And it's not just a toss like, oh, he bumped his head or whatever. His whole body goes like this into the beam. I got a really cool, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the best photographer in the world, but I did get a really cool shot of him splattering sideways against that post. Really, really good match. At the end of the match, Gabriel Fuerza actually does get the upset win, and you'll see, I've got video of the post-match if you wait till the end of this video, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Rumble. As I say, I'm going to keep saying it, if you're listening to this in an audio platform, please go to the YouTube and check out the visual portion of it, because it was really good. They prolong the unmasking of the luchador, because it is what it is. He not only does he take his mask off, but also calls him out by his real name, which is, I think, Dan Pisano, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Runs him down, and just it is the typical unmasking of the luchador story, and I'll never understand, like, mask versus mask, hair versus hair matches in wrestling are a thing. Hair versus mask is always a thing, but it's not an equal, and this is just me nitpicking. This is not me nitpicking Destiny. This is just me nitpicking wrestling in general. If you do a hair versus mask match, the luchador has to unmask. He loses his identity. He loses who he is. He loses his character. Like you said, he goes from being Reverso to being Dan Pisano. Now, I don't know whether that's going to continue or not, but it is what it is. Now, if somebody has to lose their hair, they just grow their hair back. Now, that'll take us back to when I was talking about NXT's War Games match, and they had the hair versus hair with Duke Hudson and Cameron Grimes. And it's like, Cameron Grimes has got, you know, big long head of hair and whatever. Duke Hudson's got hair that's this long, and it went down to this long. Like, it's never an equal thing when it's not an equal thing, if that makes sense. But it was a story to be told, and they told the story, and obviously Pisano disappointed, unmasked, you know, shamed, for lack of a better term. And then Gabriel Fuerza goes on to say, who wants to, like, I like putting my hair on the line, who wants to put something else on the line? He takes somewhere in the middle, he takes a cheap shot at Josh Alexander. He's like, oh, I bet Josh Alexander's not going to face me or whatever. So I really thought the next thing that he was going to do was call out Aiden Prince. And once again, Gabriel Fuerza versus Aiden Prince is a match I would love to see. But there was a video package that came up, and everybody around me lost their shit. So everybody else around me apparently recognized the guy on the video who called him out and said, oh, you want to put your hair on the line again? Well, I'm known for my hair and my beard, so why don't we do hair versus hair at whenever the next show is? And that seems to be set. Now, I don't know whether it's where I was sitting or whether the sound was muffled or whatever. I didn't hear the name of the guy, and it's not a guy that I recognize. So I'm telling you a story that really has no ending here, unfortunately. I gave a quick glance over to their Facebook page, and I didn't find the name either. So I'm failing you on that part, but it now seems to be like Gabriel Fuerza is going to make a habit of putting his hair on the line, trying to get things from other people. Kind of like Jericho in WCW collecting the mask, collecting the knee brace, collecting the all the different things that he collected from different wrestlers when he was that version of Chris Jericho. Now, if that's the case, then cool. If he collects Pisano's mask, if he collects this next guy's hair, and then he eventually goes after Matt Angel and wants to collect the Next Generation Championship, that's a cool story. You can have just a collection of stuff, but he's going to face somebody at some next show. How's that for a sales pitch? Now, the main event. The main event was Josh Alexander, who I'm a huge fan of. He's awesome on Impact. He's awesome at Destiny shows. I was at the Destiny show where he beat Pete Dunne for that title, and the crowd went fucking ballistic. It was really, really good. But he's taken on all kinds of people in the meantime, and he took on PCO, who I had no clue about. No clue whatsoever. And it's interesting. Because, as I say, I've seen him take on guys like Pete Dunne. I've seen him take on, I think I've seen him take on Rich Swann. I've seen him take on Mike Bailey, which was the first time I ever saw Mike Bailey. And now I'm seeing him take on PCO, and I sort of put it out there to you guys in the universe. I'm like, I don't know anything about PCO. Who can tell me what he is? And basically everybody's like, well, he's a big, crazy guy. I'm like, okay, that's like 50% of wrestling. And he came out, and it sort of changed my opinion. When I saw his entrance, when I sort of saw what he did, he had this big, like, headset thing on, like a Frankenstein type of, like, nuts and bolts thing around his head. Big ass dude, don't get me wrong, could move around, big old powerhouse of a guy. When Josh Alexander was throwing him around, you could tell he was really trying to throw him around, which was good. But when he came out, and he was actually announced, I don't know whether this is a thing, but they called him the French-Canadian Frankenstein. PCO is Pierre something something, I'm not going to pretend that I know. But it's shifted what the match was for me, and I want to say this in a way that doesn't sound disrespectful, because I really don't want to sound disrespectful. But it shifted from this champion that I'm a really huge fan of, taking on a wrestler that I've never seen before, and let's just see who comes out on top. It very quickly shifted from that to, here's this wrestler that I'm a huge fan of who's the champion, and here's the next monster that he's going to slay. And that's not a bad thing. That's like... Oh, I hate to make a comparison like this. That would be like Shawn Michaels has a match coming up against Triple H. But in the meantime, at the B pay-per-view, he takes on Kane. Kane's awesome, but it's very much the dragon to slay. Josh Alexander, to his credit, as I say, not only taking on this big beast of a monster that he's got to throw around, but also in a hardcore match, and they do the chair stuff, but they do the chair stuff with the backs set up, and it's all very, very painful looking. And the chairs at Destiny have a really bad habit of falling apart too, which is great because they rattle when they fall apart, which is it's a little less clean sounding than any wrestling you see on TV, which is a nice. It's one of those things that's just different enough to be really, really cool. But he does obviously retain his title, because I'm still referring to him as Destiny Champion Josh Alexander. And then he's got sort of the send the crowd home speech afterwards, which I really love when they do that, by the way. But it's one of those, you know, he was doing very much like Aiden Prince did, showing his appreciation for the crowd and the fans and the Don Koloff Arena and Destiny and all that type of stuff. But also he makes a point of, you know, before COVID hit, when we had our last show, we didn't know it was our last show, so I didn't get to say goodbye to you guys, and you know, we'll see you down the road. And he did the wrestling cliche that I love. It's that whole, it's not goodbye, it's see you down the road. Or in his case, he said it's not goodbye, it's see you later, which was really cool. He brought George Iceman, who, as I say, is the president of Destiny, and he came out, and he's really, really positive, hyper energetic guy, and he shows his appreciation for all of us being there and all that kind of thing. And he says, you know, with the times that we're in right now, I'm going to do something we don't usually do. I'm going to get all the crowd back out here. And basically they did, and I hate to say this because it sounds like such a negative downturn type thing, but he basically brings out everybody that was involved in the show, all the wrestlers that were on the show, the referees, all the other people involved. I think Josh Alexander's family was up there in the ring with him as well. And basically they had a big curtain call, a big celebration in the ring of like, hey, we might not be able to do this for a while, so let's soak it up. And then Channing Decker grabs the microphone and he says, I need you to put on a song for me, da-da-da-da. And he goes over to Ray, who's not only the DJ in between when the show starts and when the show ends, but he also does all the sound and the entrances and all that kind of thing. And he says, I need you to put on my song, and they flip through a couple songs, and he finally lands on Sweet Caroline. And he leads, even though he doesn't know the words until the chorus, he leads the entire crowd and all the rest of the wrestlers and all that sort in a rendition of Sweet Caroline, which was such a sweet, pun intended, way to end the show. And it was one of those things that after that, I sort of lingered around for a second and, you know, sort of soaked it up and said hi to a couple of wrestlers that I was familiar with and all that sort of thing. But it was just a really cool way to acknowledge that, hey, we might not be able to do this again for a while, but let's make it fun. Let's have fun on our way out the door. And yeah, it kind of sucks because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the new restrictions are going to be. This one operated under 50% capacity, and it was still a pretty animated fun, boisterous, loud crowd. So if we stay in that 50% range, hopefully we can do another show in a couple of months. Hopefully we won't be held off too long, because we're going to see Channing Decker hopefully kick the shit out of Tarek, and we're going to see the gentleman that showed up on the Minitron there and challenged Gabriel Ferreira, and there's going to be another hair versus hair match. Josh Alexander and new champion Matt Angel will defend against whoever they're defending against next. Maybe Aiden Prince gets a rematch. I don't really know. I don't know. It was a very fitting way to end a show that could have ended very up in the air and on a pretty down note, but it was a lot of fun. And yeah, anybody, and I know this isn't going to apply to people that are watching me around the world, and I know I have a lot of people that watch me from the States and whatever, but if you are in Ontario, if you are in Southern Ontario, if you are in the GTA, if you are in the Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto area, and you are within the sound of my voice, the next time Destiny Wrestling does put on a show, I really do suggest you go. These guys really do kick ass, and their shows are a lot of fun. And like I say, where they sort of pull everybody from everywhere, you never really know who you're gonna see. So I've rambled on way longer than I intended to with this. I just really wanted to talk about a fun show that I was at, rather than talking about like how COVID sucks and Christmas doesn't exist and all that fun shit. So this video, I'm recording this video right now on Christmas Eve. It's gonna drop Christmas Eve morning. If you've taken the opportunity to listen to me ramble about this show, then cool, and I'm going to say it one more time. If you're watching it on YouTube or Rumble, please stay tuned. Coming up next is the slideshow and the video highlights and all that kind of thing. If you are listening in an audio platform, it's going to go to the outro, and that's going to be the end. But please do come back to YouTube or Rumble, and please do check out the highlights, because the highlights will speak for themselves way more than I've been speaking for the last 29 minutes. Anyways, I don't know whether you guys are going to hear from me between now and New Year's, but when we get to the new year, we do have Day 1 to talk about, we do have New Year's Evil to talk about, we do have AEW's debut on TBS and the crowning of the TBS Championship to talk about, so you guys will hear from me shortly. I just don't know if you'll hear from me again with a date that ends in 21. So, in case I don't, Merry Christmas, happy whatever else you're celebrating. Try to have a happy new year wherever you are, if the laws allow. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
Oh, yeah!
Oh, he did.
No! Oh my God!
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to your winner, Gabriel Fraser. Yeah, you guys really like me, huh? Bunch of dumbasses. All I do is come out here and insult you and you still grovel at my feet. Typical.
You're great.
No, sir, I won't shut up because this is my freaking time. Why don't you shut up? You paid a ticket to watch this. Now to the matter at hand. El Reverso, you may not be much, but you're only real luchador that Canada has. Or rather, you were. It's time to take off that mask.
Don't luchadors. Don't do it. I got a mask for you. I got a mask right here for you.
Said, take off the mask.
The mask stays.
What do you mean you can't do it? Real helpful.
Who is it?
He's hot.
Hey, who is that? Who is that? Oh, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you for the first time in a professional wrestling ring, Dan Pisano. Yeah. He looks like he'd be someone's accountant.